Hi everybody! Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time, hi, my name is Emmy. I am married and I have 2 children, and this is all about my family's journey to becoming debt-free and just becoming a bit more responsible with our spending. Thank you for all of you who are returning subscribers. Thanks for clicking on another one of my videos. I really appreciate all of the support that I've received so far. And yeah, so let's get right into the budgeting video. It's very long overdue, and I apologize. As I stated in, oh my gosh, all my videos. It's just been busy. It's been very busy. Lots of side hustle baking, lots of different appointments. It's the end of the school year, and May has finally come to an end. I'm actually filming this video on June the 7th. And my budget actually runs from the 25th to the 25th of every month. So my May budget has been closed for a while. I just haven't gotten around to filming it. So if you guys want to see how we did, how May played out, then stay tuned because I'm going to walk you through it. Okay guys, so everyone does their budget a little bit differently. Some people budget monthly, some people budget weekly, some people budget every time they get paid, which could be bi-weekly or every 4 weeks. Everyone's budgeting journey is a little bit different. I personally like to see everything. So I do budget per paycheck, which in the month of May we received 3 of them, but I also do weekly check-ins just so I can see how we do each week, and then at the very end I consolidate and put everything together on one monthly budget sheet, so that way I can see how we did overall. Just seeing those different viewpoints is a way not only for me to be held accountable, because I get to check in and see where we are throughout the month, but then I can see an overall picture of how the month played out, just so I know for the future, like how much we've been spending on power, so I know like if next month how much I need to allocate for the power bill, or what a trend is. For example, if I look at my budget workbook of May last year, I noticed that our eating out was very hefty because it happens to be a busy time of the year for us. So we tend to get takeout or eat out for dinner because I just can't be bothered to cook anything. And if I want to look at last year's budget compared to this year's budget, I can see those sorts of trends. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. I recommend, if you have been budgeting for a while, take a look back at what your spending habits were like a year ago, because you'll notice sometimes that a lot of the same trends are happening, whether that be, oh, I remember in February it was really, really cold, so we had to use a lot more heat, using a lot more of our gas electric. So I have to know every February to budget more for the power bill that month. Or in June every year, we like to go on a vacation, so I have to know to allocate more for spending money. Things like that are good to note. Anyway, just my 2 cents there. So let's get into the May budget here. A lot of our income was pretty much expected. I did work a little bit more overtime because I knew I had a lot of expenses this month, so I wanted to, rack up some extra income. My Rakuten check. Okay, so I expected to get $20.37, but the cutoff date for where they count how much you spent was much earlier than I thought. So even though I had $20.37 in my account, I spent some of that money, or received some of the cash back, when it was past their time frame of when they would give me my big fat check, as they call it. But anyway, so I only received $6.54. The remaining money is still in my Rakuten account, plus any other cash back that I've accrued since then. And they give you a big fat check every quarter. So even though I didn't get it all this quarter, I will be sure to get it next quarter. If you have no idea what Rakuten is, you need to sign up for it. I'll leave my referral code in the description, but it's basically an app where you do all of your online shopping and you get rewarded in cash. You get cash back for it. So like things that you would normally do anyway, like Instacart, or if you need to buy something from Target or Walmart, all online, you get cash back for all of those things you were going to do anyway. So I like to use Rakuten if I need to buy clothes for my kiddos, either at Target or Carter's is where I spend most of my money for them because they're still quite young. And we get rewarded cash back. And every so often they have these promotions where instead of normally giving you 2% cash back, they'll be like a big flash sale where they're going to give you 15 or 20% cash back, and that's when you do your spending, girl. So anyway, Rakuten, I got my take-home pay from my small side hustle baking business, which was more than my goal amount. For sinking funds, we only brought in $777.72. Goodness, that was a mouthful. For savings used. However, we spent more than that in our sinking funds, and I'll get to that in a second. And any other income that I wasn't expecting, we got $151.91 for that, which is a little bit more than I thought. Anyway, so our final income for the month was $6,748.64. So when I budget, I write down everything I expect to come in, and then I break things down based on priority. So the next priority for us is our bills. These are things that need to be paid no matter what. You can't skip out on those, otherwise they cut your lights off. So all of our bills were pretty much the same. Daycare was a little bit more expensive than I thought, because I had to pay online instead of giving them a check. And when you pay online, there's like a small fee to use a credit card. So I had to pay a little bit more there. The phone bill was a little bit cheaper for some reason by a couple pennies. Power was a lot cheaper than I thought it was going to be, which is great. Just taking a look here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. For trash, our trash pickup comes every week, but we pay for it every 3 months. So, every 3 months it's $69. And so May happened to be the month where we had to pay for it. So you'll see when I set up my June budget, we won't have a line for trash pickup because, this covers a 3-month period, which June is not a part of. Anyway, so all of our bills came out to $1,054.31. What I do is I subtract the bill total from our income, and then we are left with $5,694.33. I drag that down to my next table here, and so this is the next priority. These are debt payments, minimum debt payments that need to be paid every month. This is again a priority. Some people like to combine their bills and debt payments all into one, and they call it fixed expenses. But I keep track of this separately just in case I do extra debt payments on any of these, which this month I did. So I dragged down my leftover total here, and the minimum payments for our current debts are for my house, my Wells Fargo credit card, Capital One credit card, and for my husband's car. And you'll notice that my Capital One credit card, I paid a little bit extra for that. So the minimum payment was $81, but I threw an extra $150 towards my credit card to help lower that debt. And so our total debt payment was $1,568.67. So I subtract that from what was left over, and so we're left with $4,125.66. Moving on to the next table. So the next priority, these are expenses. Some people call these variable expenses. Some people call them cash envelopes or, variable spending, whatever you want to call it. These are the things that we spend every week that are technically not necessary. Like, they're not going to shut our lights off, but we need food every week, groceries and, things like that. We need gas for our cars. All of this is semi-necessary. So, we did pretty good this month, I would say. I wrote down what was left over here at the top. In terms of food, we went over just a little bit here in eating out. My husband, I budgeted for $475, but you may have seen in my previous video, I had to give him $60 because he has a personal Venmo account that he had to use to pay for my son's piano lessons, the $60 for piano lessons right here. And is because he didn't have the piano lesson money with him. So since he had to use his personal Venmo account to pay the piano teacher, I gave him $60 back into his personal Venmo account, which he keeps separate from his allowance money. I didn't want that to confuse anybody there. So technically, he was allotted $535 because of that $60 that I had to pay him back. So if you look at it that way, he was under budget for this month, which is great, you know, under budget for like $20-ish, $23 or so. Wonderful, wonderful. My allowance, I was allotted $350 and I went over. You may have seen in my previous video that I got my nails done and it was absolutely terrible. And I took them off and I painted them myself. So I know they're not like the best, but hey, I did it myself and I saved me some money, so I'm not going to spend any on getting my nails done in June. Okay, but yeah, I overspent in my allowance because of that. Gas, we did really well. Because of the rising gas prices, we have been trying not to go out unless absolutely necessary. So, you know, to and from work, taking the kids to daycare and to school. And I work from home, so I'm trying to limit myself from leaving the house unless I need to. And check that out, how much under budget we were in fuel. It was just amazing. Sinking funds, we went over in, there were 2 categories we went over, I believe, or maybe it was just one. I'll have to double check with you guys, but I know for sure we overspent in our cat sinking fund. My kitty cat was really sick and he had to have an emergency vet visit. And when I stuffed my sinking funds for the cat, I was like, he hasn't been to the vet. He's completely fine. We don't need to stuff any extra sinking fund money in his envelope this month. And of course, this happened to be the month where he had to go see the vet. So we overspent in the cat sinking fund, had to use our bank account buffer to help pay for that. My son's birthday, I allocated $500 for his big birthday bash, which you guys... He had a blast. If you didn't see my previous video, I rented out a indoor play gym kind of place. It has inflatable slides and games and bouncy houses and things like that for kiddos to play on. And because my son is turning 6 years old, due to the pandemic and just his age, he hasn't had a real like birthday party where he could invite friends. Like ever. I think the last party he had, he was turning 4 and that was just family. I mean, you know, he's 4 years old. He was at nursery and how close are those friendships really? They're almost like forced friendships. I know that sounds terrible, but you know what I mean. Like kids are 4 years old. They're friends with kids because they're in the same class. And it's kind of that way still when he's 6 years old, but at least now he's like coming home and telling me the kids by name, like so-and-so wanted to play on the slide with me today. Like he actually is building those relationships with the kids. And so I really wanted him to have a birthday party where he could invite his friends and especially to a place where they could have fun and play and just be kids. Cause it's been years since he's been able to do that. And so I wanted to do that for him. And then in the month of May, I only spent $153.49. That was a $100 deposit for the play gym. And then I spent $53.49 for a video game for his Nintendo Switch, which he loves. I'm so excited. We got him the Mario Party game for the Switch, and he plays it every day, which is awesome. And for unbudgeted, we had a couple of those expenses, things my husband had to buy for his school, which he will be reimbursed for. There was an exterminator visit that we had. I talked about it in my last video, but a couple of things that we had to have done and just wasn't planning on it. It happens. So we spent a little bit more than budgeted, about $18 or so more than expected. So we were left with $326.97. So I kind of made a boo-boo here. This leftover money I should have kept for my son's birthday because I didn't spend the whole amount. So I should have rolled this amount over into June. But I like to close out my budget every month. I don't like to carry a balance unless it's meant specifically for a bank account buffer. And I should have rolled this over, but I didn't. And I know that now because I'm 7 days into June and I'm kind of trying to figure out the budget. And I was like, why are these numbers not adding up? It's because of this. But I mean, May is already closed out and I need to show you what I did. So here's what I did. We have a savings account with Wells Fargo where every time you swipe your debit card, they take a small percentage of whatever it is you spend and they automatically transfer it to your savings account. So we don't do anything for this. It's just anytime we use our debit card, which is actually just bills because we don't use our debit card really. So anytime we pay a bill, basically it gets moved. And so I expected about $20, but $18 was moved to our savings account, which is great. I went ahead and put $100 away to save for my car. And I'm going to start putting money away for my business because you guys, my Etsy shop is so close to opening. Like I've printed and cut a lot of stickers and I'm so excited to show you. Anyway, but I'm still like, I'm so close. So I wanted to put money away just to get my Etsy business started. And I put money away for a savings challenge. I wanted to put 40 away, but I ended up putting 50 away. I don't have a specific, like, you know, something you can cross off challenge, which I do need to purchase or make or something. But I did put $50 away for a Disney trip. I would really like to take my kiddos to Disney World or Disneyland, one of those. I believe Disney World is closer for where we live, but I've been to Disney World and that was actually pretty recently because my husband took his high school kids to Disney World for a band trip. My husband is a high school band director, for those of you who don't know. And so he took his kids to Disney World to march on Main Street, which I thought was incredible. And of course, I had to be like, yo, do you need a chaperone? So I went along and that was before the kiddos were even born. So I chaperoned for that trip and that was my first time ever going to Disney. And it was absolutely magical. And my kids love Disney and I just think they would have the best time. But do we have money for it? No, we do not. So we're going to start saving while we're paying off debt, which I know is probably not the smartest thing. But if I'm putting away like $50 a month, it's going to take a while to raise enough funds to have a successful Disney trip, because I'm not about to travel and then only go for one day. Like, we're gonna be staying for a while, you know. So it's gonna take us a while to save up. It's gonna take us a while to pay off debt. So just do it both at the same time. Am I right? I don't know, but that's what we're doing. So anyway, all of our savings totaled up to $268. So I subtract that from what was left over. So we're left with $58.97. And that is what I decided to roll over into June, which, like I said, was kind of a mistake because June is when my son's birthday actually happened. His birthday party was on May 28th. And as I mentioned before, we budget from the 25th to the 25th. So technically with our budget, his party fell in June's budget. So I should have rolled this over, but I did not. But that's okay. We live and we learn. All right. So now that we've closed out, oh, I have my little summary here. By the way, all of these that I'm showing you, these are stickers that I made that will soon be available on my Etsy shop. So anyway, my summary, I take my total income, subtract the bills, the debts, the expenses, and the savings. We are left with the rollover in our bank buffer here. So that's my May budget summary. Now talking about the sinking funds, let's get into that. Okay, so when it came to sinking funds, this month I added 2 more sinking funds. So you'll see they started out with 0. I added a few $100s in there. These are ways for me to keep track of where our starting balances are for sinking funds, how much I added, how much we took out, savings used. And so this is what gets put into our income. And then I write down what the ending balance is at the end of the month. And so these 2 that are at 0, we actually depleted all of the funds. You'll see here, there was only $100 in the entertainment fund, but we spent $138 out of the entertainment fund. So instead of having my sinking fund go into the negative by $38, I just deplete it at 0, and that $38 is covered in our bank account buffer. And the same thing is true here for my cat. So, you know, we started out with $94.69. I added only $40 in there, which is crazy. I can't believe I did that, but and then we spent $253.45, which definitely brought us into the negative. So we had to have our bank account buffer eat up any of that overage. Yeah, so here's what we got left in our sinking funds. The 2 categories we overspent in were entertainment and my cat. I already showed you all of our transactions for the sinking funds. And so by the end of it all, our bank account buffer had to eat up $156.76, which isn't great. However, I do think that May was one of our better months, all things considered. Usually we go over budget in all of our categories, which, I mean, we kind of did again, but saving as much as we did in gas, I didn't spend as much on his birthday party as I thought, and the unbudgeted is what I'm really happy about. Really, the only unbudgeted expense that's not going to be reimbursed is the exterminator cost, but everything else is going to be reimbursed later in June, probably for June's budget. So I actually think that May was a pretty good month for us. Our trend has been overspending, you know, by $1,000 or so, which is absolutely terrible. But I feel like we've gotten a better handle of our money. It just seems better. It just seems a bit more controlled. It's not perfect. We need to stay under budget, right? But it's definitely better than it was. So that's what it's all about, right? Making those baby steps. It just seems like we're chipping away at our debt or chipping away at our bad spending habits little by little, which I think is great. It's very difficult to just plunge and jump right into completely changing your spending habits, but the fact that we're making small adjustments and they're in the right direction, I'm happy with it. So anyway, thanks so much for watching this video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up, leave me a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. We have 260 subscribers, I want to say, and my next video is going to be all about our 200 subscriber giveaway. So please make sure you are subscribed so you can be part of that 200 subscriber giveaway. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. I love you guys. Bye.